Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got an interesting story from across the pond, as they say. I was blamed for a car crash when I was 280 miles away. And this could happen here. So a Kent woman realized her car registration plate, her tag or her license plate, had been cloned after her insurance company accused her of being in an accident over 280 miles away in Liverpool. She's never been to Liverpool, not once, not in her entire life. So she said she'd never been there and that she had to fight to prove she hadn't been there at the time of the accident. She's one of many victims of number plate fraud, which can involve plates being copied or stolen. Kent police had reports of this type of crime have been going up in recent years. This case was eventually closed after she proved that she was in her hometown on the day of the accident. But she said it was weird. She said she'd been minding her own business at home at the time of the incident in Liverpool and that the situation had been scary. I said it wasn't me, but they asked me to prove my whereabouts and to send photos of the condition of my car, and they continued to investigate. Now, the interesting thing here is this is the insurance company dealing with her. The police might get involved also if they think there's a crime, and that would be even scarier. She says, then I remembered I could use my Google locations. And luckily, on that day, I was home. I posted some videos on my business page on social media, proving I was also at work. So she was in and around her hometown all day. She said that not only had her number plate been cloned, but they'd put it on the same make of car. So she told the BBC she also received letters from the third party's lawyers asking for settlement money when the case had closed. The motoring organization RAC said criminals steal or copy the identity of a legally registered vehicle and use it to hide the identity of a stolen or salvaged vehicle, which is often similar in model and appearance. And we've heard of this also with people using them on the roads to go through toll cameras, because the camera gets a photograph of the plate and sends the toll to the person who rightfully owns the plate, but not the person to whom this plate is attached car-wise. Criminals will either steal the registration plates from a vehicle or have duplicate plates made to be put on another car. Often they locate number plates to clone online, often finding images on car buying and selling websites, etc. Last month, Amazon said it was going to stop selling number plates on its platform after a BBC London investigation exposed how they're being illegally supplied and used. New figures obtained by the BBC show reports of number plate thefts in Kent have risen 37% over 4 years. There were 1,100 cases reported last year and only 815 in 2020. So they're rising. They're rising. Last year, the BBC revealed a 64% increase over 3 years in the number of fines canceled due to car cloning incidents in London. So one police agent said, in relation to the number plate thefts, people are clearly using them to commit other crimes, such as whether it's to avoid congestion charging, other road toll fees, whether it's to do with making off without paying for fuel. With the increases in the cost of living, it can sometimes be a reason for people to engage in criminality of this type. That fuel thing reminds me. I'm friends on Facebook with a bunch of businesses in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And one of them is simply a gas station out in the middle of nowhere. And because it's out in the middle of nowhere, it has a certain kind of clientele, especially in the wintertime, where people can ride in on their snowmobiles and pull up to a pump and pump gas and drive off, as they so often do without paying. And the gas station does not have the technology, apparently, or at least they don't want to use it, to make the pumps work only if you pay first. And so about once a week in the wintertime, they'll show a photograph of somebody at the far pump and say, does anybody recognize this person? And they're always very nice about it. They always say, we're sure they didn't mean to drive off without paying us, but we'd like to talk to them about the gas they got. So if someone wakes up in the morning and their number plate is missing, they know they've been a victim of a crime. If the number plate has, unbeknownst to the victim, been cloned, we've got to wait for it to trigger a camera linked to another incident, and then it would come to our attention, and we would then start our investigation. The Home Office said the cloning and defacing of number plates affects road safety and provides cover for criminals. We're working with the police, the DVLA, and other partners to crack down on these crimes. We began work on a new road safety strategy the first in over a decade, which aims to reduce road deaths and prevent related crime. More details will be shared in due course. We've had all kinds of stories about this happening here in the U.S., and usually, like I said, it's just somebody who gets a plate, puts it on their car, and then drives around and does things like, goes through places where a camera is doing toll by plate or something, and, the stuff gets sent to the wrong place. And I've seen stories where people have talked about how many of those tickets or tolls or whatever they got sent to them were sent to them, and it's outrageous. They said, every single time I've got to fight this. And I've heard of people before who said, I'm in a different state. This woman here is 280 miles away. But I've heard of people who are like, I'm 10 states away. And they keep sending me these bills, and I keep saying, it's not me. And for whatever reason, they don't want to put it in their system to stop sending tolls to this one plate, even though they know there's a problem with that one plate. So it's a nightmare. But interestingly, Amazon has said they're going to stop selling the plates. And I know that many of you know this. You can find almost anything you want on Amazon. And so, interestingly, when you buy a license plate that's custom made off of Amazon probably didn't make it. It's probably some company that makes the plates and sells them and simply sells through the Amazon platform. And that's a lot of what Amazon does. And so what's going to be interesting to see is whether or not they actually make it stop, or if it just appears to slow down a little bit. Because I've heard before where Amazon said, we're going to crack down on this one particular thing. So a bunch of the companies that were doing that stepped off the platform, formed new legal entities, and then went back on the platform to see if they'd get away with it. And sometimes they do. So we'll have to see. But, Amazon is so large, they say, look, we're so big that, if somebody sneaks back on, we kind of have to, someone's got to tell us. So if someone tells them, hey, there's a plate dealer step back on, you may have to do that. The question I also don't know is if that's only in England or if that also will apply to America with respect to them not selling those things. Because Amazon, of course, operates all over the place. And they might have said, oh, we're going to stop doing this in England because we've been asked to do this. And the question then becomes, would they stop doing it in the U.S.? So I'm not sure if there have been any legal issues there. I can see the arguments going both ways. But yeah, so woman's at home. She's at home or at work, but near where she lives all day long. And then she starts getting notices about the accident that she was in 280 miles away in a town she's never been to. And now, I've never been to Liverpool either. Someday I might go, but I haven't been there yet. There have been a couple bands that came out of Liverpool, which might be interesting to go see that area just for that purpose. And of course, you may notice that there. That, of course, is not a reference to the town where the band is from. That's a reference actually to the studio on a road near a tube stop where the band recorded a song or two. So there you go. But Kelvin and Mark Phillip, thank you very much for sending the story. It's from the BBC. I was blamed for a crash when I was 280 miles away and could prove it. And the story is written by Jadzia Samuel and Alex Bish. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If you're not lost, you're not much of an explorer.